Hey guys, Johnny the King here. For the ones that don't know me, I am the GM of Elder Skills. We are a PvP, PvE guild on the North American NA server, PC server. And today I would like to bring you my group play Templar build. This is a very strong support build in a raid situation, and to be quite frankly, I lead a lot of raids in Cyrodiil, and the biggest problem with most raids is the lack of group builds and group support builds within a raid. If you are a solo player, that's great, but if you're going to mainly run in raid groups and guild raid groups, then you need to stop and think about support builds and group builds. It's going to make your raid and your guild a lot stronger and a lot better. So let's jump straight into the gear. So on this build I'm running Spell Power Cure. Now in the recent patch they have significantly increased the drop rate of a lot of gear drops in a lot of dungeons. So it only took me about 3 days or 2 hours each day grinding White Gold Tower to actually get my 5 piece of Spell Power Cure. So it really isn't that hard anymore, guys, so don't be deterred from this build just because you've got to do a bit of grinding. It's well worth it. And this set is very strong in PvE content as well as a healer. So I'm running 5 Spell Power Cure, shoulders, arms, legs, boots and belt. Obviously to get the perfect trait that you want, it's going to take a lot more grinding. I'm pretty happy with the traits I've got. I'm running Divine's well fitted, infused large piece, Divine's boots and my training belt, which I have to replace. Well fitted isn't what it used to be, guys. It is actually a really strong trait now. 5% dodge, reduced dodge cost is really strong. And dodge rolling is a really important part of staying alive in PvP. So Spell Power Cure, for those ones that don't know, the 2 and 3rd piece bonuses give you max magic, the 4th bonus gives you 127 spell damage, and the 5 piece is the whole reason we wear this set. Healing an ally at 100% has a 50% chance of granting them 255 increased weapon and spell damage for 10 seconds. So there's no other way to put this set, but it's crazy. Buff that you're looking at 300 weapon spell damage, so that's basically you're giving the group a 5 piece Juliano's bonus or 5 piece Hunting's Rage bonus, which is crazy. Obviously all enchanted with max magic. The other set I'm running is Transmutation, running a 5 piece trans. Now for those that PvP a lot know how important crit resistance is. A lot of really good PvPers will run like 5 to 7 in pen. This gives you the luxury of not having to wear impen in your groups, but you still can choose to wear impen to just have this on top of the extra impen resistance. So the 2nd and 3rd bonus is magic recovery, and the 4th piece is spell critical. The 5 piece is when you heal an ally with a healing over time effect, grants them 1,259 resistance to critical hits for 20 seconds. So this is really strong. I'm running the necklace and 2 rings, sword and board. On my staff bar I'm also wearing 1 piece on the arm on my chest at the moment, just so on my healing staff bar I keep that 5 piece bonus. So technically there's no reason to have your sword or your shield actually transmutation. I just find it a lot cheaper to have this than have one crafted. but you can use a sword or shield that you already have, and it will work fine. I don't have the purple rings or gold rings yet, but this build, it works. You know, ideally I'll pick up the purple rings at some point. Just to be honest, I've been very lazy. So quickly we'll go over the stats. I'm running max stat food at the moment. This works really well in most scenarios, but say if you're the only healer in the group, then I'll run the Regen, just because I'm going to be highly strained on resources. This is a really high Regen build, so you don't really need the Regen, but there is times where you do need it. So clearly these are all unbuffed stats. As you can see, we're really low on spell damage, but buffed, that will go up to about 2,300, and our critical will go up to about 50% buffed. The main thing around this build is Regen. Now, a lot of people don't focus enough on Regen, in my opinion, in PvP. They come out of PvE with their high weapon damage builds and try and keep that high damage. You know, once the damage drops, you know, down to around the 2,000 mark, they get worried and think they can't do any damage. That's not the fact at all. You know, the fact is, you know, no matter how much, you could have 8,000 weapon damage and be dead, and that 8,000 is not going to help you, or have 8,000 weapon damage and, you know, run out of resources, and it's still going to be no good to you, no matter how much weapon damage you have. So Regen is something that needs to be focused more on in a lot of PvP builds. So the main stat I want to show you guys here is our recovery. We do have 31.5k magic, so our magic pool's not too bad. Our max health sitting around basically the minimal you should be running in Cyrodiil at the moment, which is about 25k. That's something else I do notice a lot, is the lack of health pools. You know, people running around with 20k health. Your survivability is just not going to be there with 20k health, unless you're running a gank build or something like that, of course. And our physical and spell resistance is actually not too bad. This goes up to about 20k buffed, and this goes up to about 23 or something, 24 buffed. So we're not exactly squishy either in this build. So I just want to show you, just by popping our potion, we're looking at 3,000 magic recovery. So, you know, we're really not looking too bad on the magic recovery side. That will actually go up here more once I slot Purge. So once Purge goes in there, we'll be looking at, yeah, 3,200. So we get 5% for running Purge. I think that does go up to 10% with the second passive, but I'll get into them in a second. So with this build fully buffed up, we're looking at over 4,000 magic recovery, and I'll show you how we get that. So we obviously get our 20% from our potion, and there's a lot of ways we get magic recovery. We're a vampire, so we get 10% from that. We also get 10% for running Purge, Repentance passively on our bar, and Purge as well. We get a nice passive buff to our regen there. But the major buff to our regen is, I'll start going over our skills, is partly in our skills and around channel focus. Channel focus is a great ability. It's underrated in my opinion in PvP and PvE. Basically, create a rune to crystallize protection which defends you while you stand within it and for up to 8 seconds after leaving it. The rune grants major resolve, major ward, increasing your physical resistance and spell resistance by 5,280. So that's nice, you know, it gives us our major armor buff. But the main thing about this ability is you also recover 120 magic recovery every half second. So the thing is, people look at this and go, it's not that crash hot, it's 128 recovery, you know, what's really worth running? That's not the case. The case is that your recovery is based off every 2 seconds, so that recovery is actually 480 recovery a second, and that does not show up on your magic recap. So basically you're adding 500 recovery to what this is. So, you know, we're looking at 3.5 buff kind of thing, so that's realistically more like 4k. Then the next abilities I run, these two kind of, I'll swap one of them in or one of the others out. The main reason I'm using these is for the passive, the group passive that you get from running these, which is this one: grants minor sorcery to you and your group, increasing spell damage by 5% for 20 seconds. So basically, going into battle, I'll hit one of these just to give my group that 5%, which doesn't sound like much, but on a high spell damage build, it is, yeah, stacks up to be quite a bit. The next ability on this bar is my Radiant Oppression. Everyone knows that, you know, it's pretty much the strongest execute in the game, and it's really good against dodge roll builds that just want to dodge roll everything. You know, you get 4 people on Radiant Oppression them, then they're going to go down. They just can't stand it. Punching sweeps, it's pretty much just a nice conal AoE and self-heal. Warhorn's really good and also another underrated ultimate in my opinion. I don't have the morph yet, so basically the morph is aggressive Warhorn, and it will give you and your group 10% max magic health and stam, and also give you 30% crit damage to your DPSs, or well, the whole group, which is going to give your healers a nice buff to their crit healing as well. So and also for running that, we get this passive, which is, I think it goes up to 20% or 15% on the rank 2, which I don't think I've got unlocked at the moment. But increased weapons and spell damage by 5% and magic and stam recovered by 10% for 10 minutes after capturing a resource or a keep. So that's pretty big, guys. You know, anyone that PvPs knows that you normally do take a keep or a resource, you know, within 10 minutes normally. So keeping that 5% and that 10% recovery is really nice, and 10% onto our high recovery stat is really, really strong. So that's pretty much our front bar. As I said, you can run Dual World, or you could run Destro, Resto, or Resto. On your front bar, it's really up to you. I just like the Sword board for the extra resistance and block mitigation. On our back bar, we're running Repentance. Really strong group ability. You know, you run into another raid, you drop 3 or 4 of their players, and you pop this. It's going to give your stam DPSs and any stam user a nice flood of stam. Even the magic users like a bit of stam, you know, for their dodge rolls or CC breaks. And it's also a nice heal, so, you know, and it passively gives us 10% health, stam, and magic recovery. So you're kind of seeing where all these magic recoveries are stacking up to make our massive recovery pool that we've got. Alright, I'll just skip Purge because I want to talk about Purge quite strongly in a minute. The next ability is Breath of Life, pretty much self-explanatory. Really strong burst heal. These two are, I guess, considered sometimes not to be great PvP abilities, but I find them quite effectively in the way I use them and the way I use them to proc my armor sets. So So basically I'll keep mutagen or rapid regen. I like rapid regen because it ticks quicker, which gives me more of a chance of proccing my armor sets and healing springs. The ultimate on this bar, I do swap in and swap out. I'm running Remembrance at the moment, which is quite handy if used effectively. But I do swap it in for Nova, Bat Swarm, and pretty much just whatever I need in that situation, I'll put it in that ultimate bar. And the changes to Vamp's really nice. I don't actually have to have a Vamp ability on my bar to get that 10% recovery, so that's really nice. So now we've got Purge. Purge is, in my opinion, the most underused skill in PvP and in raid groups. I've been and led so many raid groups that aren't using Purge effectively. What will happen a lot is one or two things. You'll have your Templar healers running it, and they'll Purge and be using it effectively, but then they run out of magic and they can't heal the group. So the group's got no negative effects on them, but they've got no healing coming in, so the group's dead. The second way I see it used is our magic DPS is running it and the healer's just healing, which works great in some scenarios, but not, in my opinion, is the best way to use Purge. So your magic DPSs will use it, and same thing, they'll run out of magic from purging because it's quite expensive, and your group loses a chunk of DPS from that. That's why I like in my raids to run healers with really high regen. Like, I can sit here and spam Purge pretty much with all my buffs up. When I've got efficient Purge, I can do that all day long. I can sit there and Purge and then still have magic to heal and, you know, proc my armor sets. So I think it's very important to have at least, you know, in a full raid situation, at least 4, you know, really high regen builds that can, you know, do these kinds of things. So that's the gear and the skills. I'll quickly go over my champion points. I'm running 75 in the Magician, 92 in the Alchemist, running 90 in Blessed, 77 in Elfborn. I'm running 40 in Hardy, 37 in Thick Skin, and 80 in Elemental Defender, just because the simple fact we're vampires, so we're a bit squishy to fire. These, you know, if you feel like you're getting hit by magic damage and, disease and physical damage, you know, you can take out of here and put into here. That's just up to you, how you think you play. And that's really quickly the CP. It's pretty basic. The one tip I will give you as far as it comes to CP is it's really not worth stacking over 90 into one tree, because the returns diminish too much. So you look here, we're sitting at 23.8%. So, you know, for the next 8, we're only getting 1.2% for those 8. So I think it works out to be 1.4 for the last 10 points. So it's really not worth going over 90 or even 85 into one tree. It's a really handy tip. So for this build, I am a high elf. In my opinion, race doesn't make that big of a difference in PvP unless you're trying to make a gank build. Because as far as a magic build goes, you always want that extra stam. So if you get it from your raceable passives, it means you don't need to get it from elsewhere. So race, in my opinion, doesn't matter too much. High elf does work well with this build. I think that just about covers it. Any questions, guys, don't hesitate to ask. I know I haven't put as much information as I'd like into this video, but Australian internet sucks, to be honest, and it takes a long time to upload videos, to be honest. Quickly, something else I will say, if you are a lonely healer in a group and you do need that even more recovery than, you know, our 4K or whatever we've got, you can run Rothgar's max magic recovery food, and that's going to buff you up over 4.5k, and you shouldn't have any problem doing whatever. I think when I was going over my gear, I did forget to mention that I'm running my last pieces of my Kenner helm. This is basically swappable for any one piece that you want to run. I just like it because the build's low on spell damage, so it just gives me that nice little buff. And normally while you're grinding spell power cure, you'll pick up a Moloch Kenner helm pretty easily. So I think that's just about it, guys. I've gone over my gear, my skills, quickly my attribute points. I run 33 in magic and 31 in health just to get that 25k health. You might find this varies a little bit depending on enchants and certain other things, so always try to have 25k health and be around that kind of area. So if you guys have any questions in regards to any of these videos, I'm going to be making a lot more videos, and if you have any requests on any videos, just let me know. Also, you can hit me up in game at Johnny the King 14. As I said, we play on the NA American PC server, so don't be scared to hit me up. I think I'm going to be doing a PvP tank build next, so I should have that out within the next week. But yeah, if you guys have any strong requests, you want to see a certain build, just put in the comments or hit me up in game and I can most definitely do one. Alright, cheers guys, have a good day.